Welcome into the latest edition of College Hockey Southwest Weekly. I got them back, folks. I tell you, I just keep tugging at them. It's a trip to come up here from Tucson every week. But Tom Callahan, welcome back in. Things haven't changed. The Sunday will just keep winning.
They really do, Scott. This is impressive. At every turn, these guys do something that impresses me. Winning in overtime at Harvard on a Saturday night, I mean, that's big. You come back with a split on the road. They've done so well on the road, and going into Penn State, they just keep finding ways to do things. And they're doing difficult things, Scott. They're killing off a rash of penalties, scoring a shorthanded goal to tie a game, and then winning it in overtime. You watch the way this team plays. The first thing that hits you is confidence.
Right.
They have the confidence, and that starts from the top down with Coach Powers. But that's what he's instilled in these guys, the belief that if we stick to what we want to do, don't worry about what the other guys are doing. If we stick to our system, we can win hockey games. And every kid in that room seems to be bought in, and it's working.
Let's start right there. Before we even jump into the rankings and all that, you've heard now from some of the players, and they love this coach, don't they?
Yeah, they really do. They do. They love the coach. They love the program. And again, that all comes with the buy-in and the recruiting. A lot of it is, okay, you can come and you can play in the nice weather, and this is a nice place to live, but you have to like the coach.
Right.
You have to want to play for the coach. And you come to this facility, and maybe it's not for everybody. Maybe some of a different personality would be looking for a 10,000-seat arena and everything looks amazing and, this is pro hockey. But these kids are here because they want to be here.
Right.
And I think that starts with Coach Powers and what he is trying to breed, what he's telling them, hey, this is how we're going to play. This is what we're going to do. And I want you to be a part of it. And that's also a very powerful draw. When somebody says, I think you are a great fit to come here and be a part of what we want to do, that's a big selling point.
I'm going to ask you as a former goaltender, we just talked to Evan DeBrouwer, right? That is a really tough situation for a kid that's had success at the junior ranks, comes to the NCAA team, sits on the bench for 14 straight games. As a former goaltender, how do you mentally do it? Because I was totally blown away by Evan and his professionalism and his ability to handle being a backup.
Well, Scott, one of his answers I thought was very telling, that he came here because people told him about Joey Daccord.
Right.
They told him how good Joey was. So he is very much looking at Joey as a mentor and someone he can learn from and someone he can grow the game from. Also, it probably helps that Coach Powers is a goalie.
Right.
When he goes to talk goaltender to goaltender, I mean, there's just certain things you only understand if you played the game that way.
Yeah.
Forwards and defensemen just have a different way of looking at things. So I think that's part of it too. But when you're getting a young kid in the door and you say, look, we've got an upperclassman, he's very good, you're going to be behind him. And Coach Powers has not really, shown that even maybe on a back-to-back where you thought, okay, maybe DeBrouwer might see some ice, he just hasn't.
Right.
But that's his unwavering faith in Joey Daccord as well. So I think I think the expectation was set properly, and that's important. And I think the expectation being set for a player coming in the door, if you're told, you never know, kid, you might play half the games and you play none, then you're dissatisfied.
Right.
But if the expectation coming in the door is you're going to sit, you're going to learn, we're going to teach you, we're going to build this program up, and 2-3 years from now, you're going to be in that same spot with another guy behind you that you're going to be teaching, and this is how the process is going to happen, and this is how we're going to succeed. He's bought in.
And that's a key. So let's start talking some numbers. Let's do our little math hats here.
Okay.
Let's start with the RPI. I've got number 6. Pairwise, I got number 7. USA Today, I got number 14. And USCHO, I got number 16. Your breakdown. What do you think of those numbers? Where do they stand? Throw it at us.
You know what? So let's start with the pairwise, and because again we talk about the tournament a lot, and the tournament's important, especially for an independent.
Yeah.
These guys, because they're an independent, Scott, we know they've got a tougher road, but they also set their schedule tougher.
Yep.
And so the strength of schedule will be in their favor if they keep winning these big games. Now that means taking care of what you have to, like this week coming up with UNO. You've got to beat these guys twice. But you know what? Just the fact that they have found their way onto the rankings now is a big thing.
Right.
And it shows people, hey, this program is for real. And they're getting votes. They're getting attention nationally. People can't ignore the pitchfork anymore.
Right.
And so I think those numbers are capable of climbing,
Right.
as long as they continue to take care of business.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that far off the way they're playing right now. Even Scott, I go all the way back to Ohio State.
Right.
I thought they played really well against Ohio State. Might have been able to win one of those games.
Right.
Didn't, but played really well. So this is a really good college hockey team, and the only thing that may keep them a little bit lower is some of that hardcore ingrained bias
Yeah.
for the quote-unquote old school teams. There's always going to be that. There's always going to be that favorite for them, especially while this program is growing. But just the mere fact, Scott, that remember we talked about
Yeah.
that blip on the radar?
Yeah, I was just gonna bring that up.
It's getting closer and closer and closer to the middle now, and I think that that's great. This is a team that's got the potential to continue to move up.
I'm going to give you a statement, and then I'm going to ask you for a quick opinion on it. Coach Powers, to me, the difference between an average program and a winning program is what he told me last week. I said, you're a ranked team for the first time. You're number 18. You're going to Harvard. What do you have to do? And he said, it's harder now because we have to keep validating our position.
Right. Absolutely, because now people are noticing you.
Yeah.
Whereas before, maybe they wouldn't have. But now that you've crept onto the rankings, now there's going to be a curiosity factor
Yeah.
about this team. People who are old school college hockey fans who are, it's Boston and Minnesota and then everybody else.
Yeah.
It's just to pick on you a little bit. Yeah. But there is that mentality, you know, and my program's the best, or my state is the best, or my conference is the best. And that's the other thing. Without a conference,
Yeah.
you don't even necessarily get to lay claim to having the power of the conference behind you.
Yeah.
So the curiosity is going to be big now to watch Arizona State. I think there will be more eyes focused on them. There will be a little bit more pressure. I don't know if they'll, and Coach Powers has done a great job all year saying there's zero pressure on us. We're not supposed to be here. This is not the way,
Yeah.
It's still going to mount a little bit
Yeah.
as they continue to push on to the season. So we'll see how they handle that. But yeah, there will be more and more eyes on this program because of what they're doing, because of how they're building here. But I've not seen a single thing, and especially in the mood, the confidence, and just the overall attitude of this room that tells me they won't be able to handle it. I think they will.
Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We got two guests today. We got Dylan Holman and we got Joey DeCord in with us. And then you and I will come back and wrap things up. We'll talk about UNO coming up and just how far they can go in these rankings.
All right, let's do it. Let's talk some hockey.
Welcome in to another edition of College Hockey Southwest Weekly. You know this guy if you've been around ASU for a little while. Dylan Holman is with me. And Dylan, let's talk first of all about the start to the season. You guys are off to a great start.
Yeah, no, we're doing pretty good so far this year, obviously, and it's really just comes down to we're having fun with it, and obviously the success has branched off of that. So we're happy with the start we've had, but we're not content. So we're just hoping to keep it going.
Talk to me a little bit about what it's been like for you coming here as a redshirt, making the transition to Arizona State, going through the learning process of how to win at the NCAA level, and now you're kind of reaping the benefits of it. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been exactly that. It's been quite a process. I mean, obviously we struggled at times a lot for the last 2 years, and with each of those tough times, came experience and learning, and it's really starting to translate, and we're starting to see the benefits of that. But it wasn't an easy climb, and it's certainly made us all better players, having gone through what we went through the last couple of years. So it's really nice to see the guys get rewarded and us have some team success.
I talk to the freshmen all the time, and you guys have gone through it too, but when you come from your junior programs and you've been pretty successful, you guys are all winners. That's why you're here, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to go through a couple of years of taking your lumps from everybody out there. What does it do to you mentally? And once you get through that, what's it like now when you're on the other side?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely an adjustment. I mean, a lot of us, like you said, did come from successful programs. I know, a lot of us came from Spruce Grove and Alberta League, and we had a ton of success there. So it was kind of a situation where we were such a good program, we just winning we kind of took for granted a lot of the time, and then obviously it's winning night in and night out in college hockey is a lot tougher, and it's a lot more parity out there in college hockey. So mentally it's certainly tough. There's a lot less games, but the intensity's jacked up for those games. So it's definitely an adjustment, kind of getting used to the different intensity in the atmosphere of the game. But like I said, it's been a good learning experience, and for us, learning what it takes to win beforehand is certainly something that we kind of learned along the way. And I think it's certainly been a huge part of the reason we're starting to have success now, because the guys figured out what it takes down the stretch.
For people that know you, know that you've been here from the start, right? It was a big commitment for you. You're the symbol of the pitchfork in my estimation, because you've been through it all, right? What's it feel like inside to see the 10 wins, the 4 losses, after everything that you've been through personally to get this program off the ground? Yeah,
I mean, it feels unbelievable. I transferred here from a pretty successful program as well, so now to kind of see full circle how this program's kind of turned into something like that, it's awesome. Obviously we started from the ground up and we took our lumps for the first couple of years, so I'm really happy for all the guys and for the coaching staff, because we really have put in a ton of work the last 4 years here. So I'm really happy for everyone involved, just to kind of have the success we've had so far this year.
Let's talk about your personal success on the ice. You guys, you and Crow have been here from the start. You guys have worked together. You've developed into one of the best penalty killing tandems in the country. What's the reason behind that?
I think, as far as penalty killing goes, I think we just try our best to provide tenacity and a lot of pressure and that veteran presence out there. But I mean, I think that the biggest reason for our success in the penalty kill, especially as a team, is Joey Daccord. I think, like Power says all the time,
don't say that too loud.
your best killer's got to be your goalie. But as far as the success we've had playing with each other, I think, I say this all the time. I have such an easy job playing with Anthony. He's just an absolute workhorse. Anyone who pays attention to the game, I think he kind of goes unappreciated sometimes how hard he actually works. As a center, you have to, work so hard in the defensive zone, and then he still has the energy to get up ice, and he consistently works the corners just like an absolute horse, and he's so hard to take off the puck. I think, if you look at some of the goals I've had so far, all that's happened, if you watch the clip, is like 30 seconds of him just working a defender in the corner and then hitting me with a beautiful pass. So in my opinion, he's the key. I think I'm so fortunate to be able to play with him over the last several years here, he's a really easy guy to play with because he works so hard.
We talk about the freshmen that came in, and they really added depth and gave you guys a little bit more through all 4 lines. So now you guys are getting a little bit more freedom, maybe, or you're getting the opportunity to skate without guys just keying on you two. Like I know they did the first couple of years. I mean, 12 and 18 were the numbers they were after. What's that feel like out there? You get a little more ice? Can you feel it?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's a huge weight off our shoulders. I know in the past, if we weren't producing for a few games, we were starting to feel the pressure. And at this point this year, I think, the first 4 or 5 games, I don't even think we scored, but we were playing well, and we were getting chances. So other lines were scoring, we were still doing well. So, like I said, we weren't feeling the pressure, so we were just sticking with it, where in the past we might have got a little frustrated. So, like you mentioned, we have depth this year and a lot of it. So that's been a huge reason we're not feeling the pressure and we're just playing free. And I think, that's allowed us to kind of just sticking with our game plan, even if the pucks aren't going in. And then, at times, we'll get them in bunches and it's great. But even when we're not, other lines are picking us up. So we've rolled 4 lines pretty well this year, and obviously it's been a huge key to our team's success.
Let's wrap things up with a revisit. It's Thanksgiving week here in the U.S. and talk a little bit about Thanksgiving and what it means to be a Sun Devil and what it means for you personally to see what's happened over the last 4 years here.
Yeah, I mean, all of us players are so fortunate to be able to come to such a great place and be able to be a part of a new program and kind of be the first ones here to kind of see it grow. And, like you mentioned earlier, I'm so thankful to just kind of be a part of it from the early stages, even if, it was a struggle at times, but just to kind of see it bloom into what it has been. Very fortunate for that. I mean, and then as far from a personal standpoint, I'm, super fortunate for all my family and friends. And, I've been fortunate enough for all them to have, good health and we really don't have a lot to complain about, as far as problems go in our life. So it's, we're very lucky where we're at.
So I gave you guys a magic number of 12 to get into the tournament right now. I think you guys can do it.
12 wins, that is?
12 more wins.
Okay.
Gives you 22.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really hard with your schedule for the tournament committee to go, you're not deserving of it. After this weekend, I started thinking 12 might not be the number. It might be 14 you
Yeah.
guys get. I think you'll get in with 12, but I
Okay.
think you get 14 more wins. Is that possible?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think we definitely have a strength of schedule enough that if we get some of those big wins against those top programs, they're not going to be able to ignore us. And, right now we're confident. I mean, this is, the first year really where we go in every night and we expect ourselves to win no matter who we're playing against.
Right.
So, I mean, that's certainly an expectation for us right now is to keep rolling and make it into the tournament.
Dylan, I appreciate your time as always, and I just got one thing to say. I want to keep seeing those videos of you guys singing the fight song.
Oh, yeah.
So
Me
just
too.
sing on, Devils.
For sure. All right. Thanks a lot, Scott.
All right, we're here with Joey Daccord and talking a little Arizona State hockey right now. And Joey, you guys, tough weekend series. You go into Harvard, though, you do get the split, big overtime win. Let's start there. I mean, that game going into overtime. Just talk about how that one went down.
It was huge. I think we, obviously over the weekend we had to battle through a lot of adversity, and especially in the third period and overtime in that game, killing so many penalties. I just think the hockey gods were on our side for that one. Few penalties that I didn't think were justified, and we killed them off, and then just allowed us to, get a bounce in overtime and score one to win. So it was really special for me to win one at home, and then definitely just to get the split was really big for us.
Well, talk a little bit about that, too, because when you have so many penalties to kill, I mean, it's a tiring thing for the guys in front of you, certainly for you as well. But when you get through it, do you get a little lift out of that?
Absolutely. I think especially when you're killing off as many penalties as we did and in the fashion that we were, especially getting a shorthanded goal to tie it up in the third period, I think, as soon as you kill those off, you just get all the momentum on your side, and that's exactly what happened, and we scored, 30 seconds after that, we killed that one off.
You mentioned going home a little bit. I mean, that's about as close to home as you guys are going to play for you. What was that like picking up that win there?
It was awesome, just seeing my mom in the crowd and my parents and so many family and friends there. It was a really special weekend, and to be able to get an overtime win made it that much sweeter.
Was that the toughest team you faced so far, you think?
I don't know. We've played some good teams this year. I thought it was a tough weekend, especially going on the road. I thought they were really good. I thought they were really skilled, and they had a really good power play. I don't know if it's the best team we've played yet, but I thought they were a lot better than they're ranked, and their results so far this year. I thought they were a really good team.
You guys are in the midst of a stretch right now where you are on the road quite a bit. How do you prepare for that?
I think you just got to draw on your experiences from our games so far this year and the buildings that we've gone into and had success. Penn State's probably the hardest place to play in college hockey, if not right up there in the top 3 or 5. So we went in there and we played a 1-goal game and then won a 1-goal game. And, that was just really big for us. And I think we can just kind of use that experience to help us in the future here in the next couple of weeks when we're on the road.
It seems like this Sun Devils team has had a lot of those building experiences this year, and a lot of them positives, finding ways to win hockey games, finding ways to kill penalties, winning games in overtime. I mean, it seems like you guys have a lot of building blocks.
Yeah, I think when you start to win, I think the winning culture just kind of rubs off on everything, and you kind of start to go down the road where you're getting the bounces and the big kills and big blocks and whatever it may be in the right situation to allow the team to have success. And I think so far this year, it's kind of just been a snowball for us. It's just kind of just kept going, and we're finding ways to win games and score more goals than the other team. And I think when that happens, it just, like I said, rubs off on everybody and kind of creates the winning culture that we haven't had here in my first couple of years, and really helps us in those games like Saturday night at Harvard when we had to battle through adversity and go into the third down a goal, tie it up, and then win in overtime. So I just think it was a really important weekend for us and just another, like you said, another building block for us.
Not only that, but also it seems like the depth of this team now has gotten a lot better. And so, maybe a different guy gets that chance to step up every night.
Yeah, exactly. I love seeing, our 2 goals in regulation in Saturday night were Holman and Crossan, and those are 2 huge parts of our team. And, seeing them third-line guys, they're really heart and soul guys on our team, and seeing them get both our big goals, and including a shorty there in the third to tie it up, it's really cool to see everybody getting their chance and everybody taking advantage of their opportunity. And I think that depth is a huge aspect of our team this year.
All right, before we let you go, let's just look ahead. UNO, second time around this year for these guys. They are coming in. They've come in off splits. Now they've got a bye week, so they're going to be rested. What's different about these guys?
Well, I think just going on the road, it makes it much different. They get a beautiful building and they get good fans, and it should be fun atmosphere to play in. I remember playing there last year; it was really fun, and we can kind of just draw on our experience from home and try to take that with us on the road. If we know that if we play our game, we're going to have a good chance to win. So we're just going to try to stick to the process and do whatever we can to come home with 2 wins.
Joey, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Mr. Callahan, we are back to wrap up another edition. These keep getting funner and funner, if that's a word for me, if I can use funner. They become more and more exciting every week that we do this because the team keeps winning. They keep moving up the ladder. But first of all, I want to thank our guests. We had Joey DeCord in, which you did a great job of visiting with Joey. We also had Dylan Holman in, who is heart and soul of this team for the last 4 years. So now let's get into these numbers I told you off camera that I believe that ASU can probably get as high as number 7 in the rankings if everything goes their way, but I don't know that they can get past number 7. Your thoughts?
I'm not quite as optimistic. I think if they get in the top 10, that'll be an amazing run.
Right.
And again, it's all about taking care of business, Scott. But I don't know if they can crack the top 10. We talked about it in the open, just that bias, that old school bias. They're still new. Even with the strength of schedule, there are going to be teams that are looking at them and say, well, yeah, but they're Arizona. They're in Arizona. That's Arizona State. Nobody's really paying attention. They're not in a conference. There's going to be all those things that kind of play against them. But if they're hovering near that 10 spot, boy, what an accomplishment. I think that's amazing. Now, could they break into the top 7 if everything went right? If they just went crazy right through to the end of the year and were just winning left and right? Maybe, but I still think that's maybe a next year project, if you will.
Yeah.
I think for this year, they're on a good trajectory to put themselves on the map.
When I look at the schedule, and we talked about the strength of the schedule, I think when we saw it before the start of the season, we all said, oh my God, that is a very difficult schedule, maybe the hardest in. I'm not saying it's gotten any easier, but they have gotten a few breaks, if you will. BU with a new coach is off to a little bit of a tough start. BC not playing to where they normally would play. And then you look at the other teams. Colorado College is having a down year. You look at Princeton and you look at some of these teams. I mean, right there I just named off 6 games that are teams that perennially, if I can say that right, are better at near the top of the rankings, right? They're having down years. So that really doesn't help an independent when you get a team that's struggling a little bit, but you still have to go out and beat them, right? You can only play the games that are on your schedule.
Right, and to that end, you're still beating a name brand, if you will.
Yeah.
So maybe that helps. If you go out and you get 2 wins over BU and BC, and you're supposed to be Colorado College at this point, and if you're able to go out and get those wins, those are wins that people go, oh, well, I've heard of that program. Oh, you beat BU. Oh, you beat BC. And so that makes a difference to the people, I think, in the rankings. It's more of a mindset thing, but hey, maybe that bias works for them in this case, Scott.
Yep. Absolutely. We talk about the rankings, and let's talk about where they're headed next. It's very seldom when you're not in a conference, you're an independent, that you play the same team twice, much less twice in the first half of the season, like the Arizona State and UNO are playing right now. But they handled UNO. You saw that game up close and personal. Tell me what you expect out of this weekend.
I expect UNO is going to be better. The record is better. They're coming off a couple of splits. In the 2 of those 4 games that they've won, they've scored a combined 10 goals. so they're finding their offense a little bit too now. And maybe if they start to get some goal production, I mean, that's something. We've seen ASU a couple of times this year bend but not break.
Right.
And there have been a couple of wins that way. And so I'm hoping for the Sun Devils that they come out and try to go for the big punch early. They try to run them over. They bring the energy in that first game. And you're on the road. You know, you want to take that crowd out of it. You want to, not let it become a festive atmosphere. You don't want to give up the first goal. There's all these things you want to do. You want to keep your game simple, which I think these guys do anyway. But UNO is finding itself a little bit. Plus, they're coming in off a bye week.
Right.
And I know you college kids, they're still youngsters and they got a lot of energy and all that, but the schedule's a grind, especially for kids who aren't used to playing maybe this much hockey, and to have that week of rest in there and solid practice, get back to your basics and build on what you've been doing well to generate those 2 wins. It's going to make them a tougher out.
So we're coming into Thanksgiving holiday. We know that the guys are going to be traveling. They're going to be spending Thanksgiving in Omaha, Nebraska. Yep. They're getting ready for a weekend series. One of the things that I caught today, I don't know if you caught it at the end of practice, but they break their practice with a one word, right? The one word that was used today was family, and it was loud and it was proud. How big, and you've seen this now for a little while, coming in from the outside, how big and how strong do you think this ASU Sun Devil hockey team family is?
I think that's a great word for it. I think that these guys, and we talked about it in the open, the buy-in, and the wanting to play, not only for coach, but for each other.
Right.
And it's interesting. Here's the other thing, too, is when you're winning,
right,
that smooths over a lot of things. Now you can joke with that guy that maybe you were a little antsy with before and you weren't all getting along, but hey, everybody's smiling when you come to the rink because you're winning.
Right.
So that does help smooth over some of those bumps. But I think that these guys, believe me, I've been around hockey long enough. I can tell when they're just spitting cliches, and I can tell when guys mean what they say. And I think that I've been very impressed with the sincerity of the buy-in and the message coming out of each and every player from that room. And I think family is a very good word to describe what they're building here.
All right, we're going to wrap up this edition with, we're going to do a little promotion for a couple of people. Joey Decord, I've got it started already, hashtag Joey for Richter.
Okay.
And Johnny Walker, I've got that going as hashtag Johnny for Hobie. So let's talk about these two. Let's start with Joey being the goaltender that you are. What does Joey have to do, and is there anything he can do to win this award at this point?
If he doesn't allow a goal for the rest of the season, that's going to get him a look. But all kidding aside, there are some really, really good goaltenders out there on some good programs. And part of it is I think his numbers won't be as flashy as some of the guys on the lockdown defensive teams. His win total may be up there. But I think, conversely, if you're someone who's a voter for the Richter, you have to consider the fact that this is an independent program. This is a team that, is really having its first very good season. And he's a big part of that, So it depends on how are you voting for the award, Scott? Are you voting for, this is the guy with the lowest goals against, the best save percentage? Or are you voting for the most valuable goaltender to his team? Right. Or are you voting for the name brand guy? I mean, everybody's going to vote in a different style, I think. And Joey's going to need the people who look at the goaltender as the most valuable part of his team, because we hear guys come in sing his praises every week, right? Talking about how important he is to this hockey club. So if he continues to help him win hockey games, make big saves at key times, that'll definitely advance his candidacy.
Well, my thought on the promotion part of it was, whether he wins the award or not, it's about getting the brand like you talk about. The more that we can throw the pitchfork out there as media people, the better it's going to be for the whole program. I mean, if they're talking about Joey, they're looking at the team. If they're talking about Johnny, they're looking at the team.
Right.
So I think that's a plus, whether he wins the award or not. I think Johnny Walker's got a better shot if he starts to bury the puck a few more times, but he's still right up near the top, if not the top, in goal scoring and in points for college hockey. So let's talk about Johnny's style and what Johnny needs to do to continue to propel himself up that ladder.
He, off the ice, I think he has the personality that will do it just by itself. That's just how he is. He's very ebullient. He's very, charismatic. He's the nudge and a wink guy, and so I think that, a lot of people enjoy that about his personality, and the numbers are following. He's having a very good year. I mean, you called it early on. I give you full credit. You said he was going to have a big year this year, and scoring big goals at big times too. And again, numbers are so important in these races, but to continue to show up and be a guy who, okay, let's say you're not on the sheet. Well, what else did you do?
Right.
How did you contribute to the victory tonight? I know he's not a big PK guy, obviously, but on the power play, he's a very important cog. Continue to play strong 5-on-5. Those are all things that'll get looked at for a Hobey Baker candidacy. And I think as more people, as you said, look at the program and start to look at the pitchfork and look at Arizona State, I think that will only help both players.
And it doesn't hurt to score overtime goals. He's got 2 of them in 14 games right now. That makes the highlight reel, no matter whether it's a tip-in or having to do the canoe afterwards or whatever it is. That helps your persona, I guess is the word I'm looking for, in the race for these individual awards.
We live in a highlight-driven society. Everything on social media is a 10-second clip, or on the I don't even know that show highlights for much part anymore. It's follow 3 big stories, but when those clips go out and people see that number 7 scoring that big goal in overtime, and they're like, oh, is that Harvard? And again, that old school bias maybe helping them a little bit. It's like, who is that team? I don't recognize those guys. And then all of a sudden you start to find out who they are, what they're doing, and it can only help, Scott.
And it doesn't hurt that your name is Johnny Walker. Is there anything better to market to college kids, to college people, the hockey people, than the name Johnny Walker?
Yeah, it's a nice coincidence. It really is. But again, if you get to know him and you talk to him and you catch the personality that goes with the name and goes with the numbers, I think he could definitely creep his way into the consciousness.
I'm going to throw a couple things out. A quick shout out to his dad, Jeff Walker, who sent a picture out on social media on Saturday night. He said, having a little Johnny Walker on the rocks before the pregame.
You got to have your Johnny Walker on ice, obviously. Yes.
Exactly. That was awesome. So shout out to Jeff for that one. And secondly, the magic number that I've come up with is now 12. 12 more wins gets them to 22. Mm-hmm. When I said that, everybody laughed at me. They said, 22 wins, 22 wins. Well, they're going to surpass 22 wins, Tom. They're going to get 24. They finished the season 24-10. That's my prediction.
Here's the thing, too, Scott, is if those teams do continue to fall, the BCs, the BUs, if they continue to, their record gets worse, and so then your strength of schedule isn't as impressive as it was, you might need a few more.
Right.
24-10 would be a heck of a season. That would be great. If they could keep the losses in the single digits, that would be really impressive. But part of it is out of their control.
Yep.
It's all about the opponents. But if these guys just keep playing the way they can, I see no reason why they can't get to maybe 25 wins, 26 wins on the season.
Ooh, Tom, you're talking my numbers now.
Yeah, it could happen. But a lot of things got to go right. They got to stay healthy. They got to keep playing their system. They've got to battle every night and have those big performances from different guys. And we see different guys stepping up right now, Scott. And that's been great, but that's got to continue for these guys. So it's nice to see the depth, contributing. And so that's part of the growth.
Tom, it's been great. It's Thanksgiving, so I want to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
It's a great time of year, and I think everybody in the Desert Southwest should be thankful that we've got Coach Powers and ASU hockey to be thankful for here.
Absolutely. What they're doing here is tremendous, and if you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend coming on down for a home game.
All right, we'll be back next week with a recap of the UNO series. We'll talk about the final leg of this 3-weekend road trip where they end up going back out east again to Princeton, and then we'll get ready for the trip to Gila River Arena and the Big Desert Classic, which I think is going to be really exciting. So we'll preview that next week.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Scott.